That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, do we have a clip here, Brian, to play for this? So let's take a listen to this. This is British Prime Minister Keir Starmer earlier today.
I think it's really important that 16 and 17-year-olds have the vote because they're old enough to go out to work. They're old enough to pay taxes, so to pay in. And I think if you pay in, you should have the opportunity to say what you want your money spent on, which way the government should go. So I'm really pleased that we're able to bring more young people into our democracy and give them the chance to have a say over how their taxes are going to be paid and what they're going to be used for.
So there you go. That's in the UK. Now, this has been discussed here before as well. This probably came up during our last election campaign here, but allowing younger people to vote. Jim, what do you make of this?
You know, if you'd asked me the question 20, 30 years ago, I'd say don't be ridiculous. You can't expect 16-year-olds to make informed decisions about politics. But now, with the advent of the internet and the fact that there is, the ignorance has been pretty well evenly spread throughout generations, you know what? I can't think of a reason why not. Quite apart from the very pragmatic, yes, they pay taxes, they work, they do whatever. They do have skin in the game. And especially now with the decisions that are being made, and I won't even touch the environment. I'll just look at everything else. I'll look at the economy. I'll look at where they are. And we've discussed this. And I'm not telling tales out of school here, Aaron, when the whole thing is, go to school, get good marks, work hard, get a good job. And, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for you. You're not going to have a great life. You're going to have to be very, very careful, very, very lucky to get a decent paying job and to actually buy a home. So all these things you have to address when you're much younger. And basically because the deck is stacked against you, and it's stacked against you in many cases by the people who have their hands on the levers of power. So you know what? If you ask me now, as you are, I'm telling you, I think it's not that bad an idea. I think it's a good idea for 16-year-olds to have the vote. And I think politicians of all stripes, of all levels of government in this country would think once, twice, or maybe 15 times before they shot off their mouths about policy.
As I hear you say that, I think to myself, and maybe my reaction might have been the same as you said, a generation ago, but even now I wonder how many 16 and 17-year-olds actually do you think will go out given the chance to and actually vote? And I think, look, I know there are youth wings for all the major political parties, and obviously they're engaged, they're going to vote. But for the other 90%, you think they really care enough to go out and vote?
I don't know, because they don't have the vote. The only way we can find out is to give it to them and see if they exercise it. And also to see if, campaigns, right now campaigns are they're as spontaneous as open heart surgery, Aaron. They are aimed at specific demographics, at specific clientele. And the last person anyone thinks about, any politician thinks about, is somebody who's under 18 years old because they can't vote. But the fact is, if we look at the way our society is narrowing the playing field for opportunity, 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, as I say, they are a very, very important constituency. So you know what? Why not? If we can get change, because the change that's screwing over people aged between 16 and 18 is part of a larger system that's screwing over the rest of us. If we can get that change sooner rather than later, what's wrong with it?
No, I guess, yeah, you're right. And the only way to find out is to actually go ahead and do it. Do you think there's impetus for this in Canada, Jim?
Not at the moment, but, all it takes is perhaps one example, one jurisdiction, one level of government, and of course everyone's going to watch and see what happens. And if they do discover that there is a good response, it may catch on or not. They may turn around and say, no, this is just an aberration, this is a one-off. Or if, they turn around and shrug, and as you suggest, and perhaps quite rightly, that they don't bother to show up at the polls, will turn around and say, open up to 16-year-olds. They're not going to be, but we can at least say we did it, and no one's going to come after us. But I think I know, having sat in that very chair you're sitting in, Aaron, I know I've 2 or 3 times over the course of my radio career, I've used that as a topic, and people really, really get worked up about it. But I think in this day and age, and with the world turning into the world that we see on a daily basis, why not? Why not give people an opportunity to have a say in decisions which are going to affect them for the rest of their lives, even though the deck is being stacked against them from day one?
All right, let me move on to talk about something else, our own municipal politics here. We have, of course, a municipal election coming up in November. Craig Sauvé was on this morning with Elias. People probably recognize the name. He's been sitting as an independent city councillor for a while. Before that, he was a councillor with Projet Montréal. And Jim, I don't want to say it's from what I heard this morning, and I know both him and I know Joël de Bellefeuille from having spoken to him yesterday, both those parties, so one is Future Montreal, the other is now Transition Montreal, they lead their press releases by saying they have big, bold ideas. And when you ask what those big, bold ideas are, they seem a bit more vague. But to Elias's interview this morning, this is what Craig Sauvé actually said. So I guess the big, bold idea here is tax the rich. Go ahead, Brian.
I want to tax the ultra-rich, and I want to invest in helping people that need it most.
So a couple things that...
He wants to tax the ultra-wealthy. He made sure he went out of his way to say not plexes, not people, who have multiple units, that kind of thing. Is that the big, bold plan that you think wins an election for someone?
No, I think a lot of, with all due respect to Mr. Sauvé, I wish him the best of luck as I do to every single other candidate in this election. But the fact is, I really think that Montrealers, by and large, if I may say so, are pretty well fed up with the left of center kind of broad brush. It's the reason there's homelessness is that the ultra rich aren't paying their share. Give me a break, okay? Even the most average informed voter in this town knows it's not because millionaires or billionaires aren't paying what is perceived as their fair share of the tax burden that we don't have sufficient housing for people who are homeless, and those people who are homeless are not exclusively homeless due to a lack of housing. So that's, I think, a rather simplistic approach to it. But listen, if it works, it works. But what gets me? I look at this, and I understand we're going to be hearing some other, perhaps we're going to hear some other platforms being unveiled in the near future. I'm wondering if there's anything out there that is really going to hook Montrealers' interest. Because quite frankly, the same old, we're going to keep the taxes under control, and, Montreal, lots of very vague, airy-fairy kind of conceptual whatever. And you know what? I think voters are gun shy. I think if someone turns around, we've heard it on the show, anyway, if anyone just says I get rid of bike pass, I'm going to vote for him. I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I'm not entirely sure people could run on that on that platform, especially given the shape that Montreal is in economically and in terms of morale as well. What is Montreal about? I haven't got a clue, and spare me any explanation that includes the word joie de vivre, because you're completely full of it. Those days are gone. So what is Montreal? What does it become? Where is it going? I haven't got a clue, and I'd like to hear from someone who wants to be mayor, who's got some idea of where they're going to take this city. Because quite frankly, you don't have that much wiggle room, ladies and gentlemen, between the deficit, between costs, between the absolute malaise a lot of people feel about government and where this particular city is headed. You've got a pretty tough road to hoe, but I wish you could say something that is going to light a spark under most of us to try and bring this city back, not to its former glory 50 or 60 years ago, that'll bring this city back to a place where we're happy to live.
When was the last time we were in that place?
Oh, God. For me, I would say it's been, 30, 40 years, Aaron. And just the feeling, just being able to walk through Montreal and feel that this is a cool place. You know what I mean? And just things worked, and it did have, there was a vibe, there was a feeling. It was post 76 or whatever, but my God, everyone's had such great ideas. Everyone's had this, and it's easy to point the finger at the PQ because it was their idea, but they had lots of accomplices. The real beginning of the end for this city were the forced mergers. It just turned everything upside down. We're still paying the bills for it. We still have this bloated bureaucracy because of it. That's the first thing I think that should be blown up. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's what, as far as I'm concerned, that's what really drove us off a cliff.
Think it had anything to do with the fact, Jim, that we were 30 or 40 years younger?
No, I don't think so, because I can still go to London or Paris or other cities and still feel that, get that buzz, feel that feeling that I'm a part of something bigger. Mm-hmm. I don't get that feeling anymore in Montreal.
Okay. I was going to say something like you go to, when was the last time you were in Paris?
6 or 7 years ago.
Okay. All I see is people posting videos, and I'm hearing from people, again, how badly that city has kind of, if you will, gone down the drain and lost some of that cosmopolitan feel, too. So I don't think it's just us.
I think to a certain extent, a lot of people would say it's too cosmopolitan, because a lot of that is based on the fact that there's issues with immigration, as there are here, issues with laity, issues with culture clashes, which is, another, which I'm saying is I'm not saying these cities are perfect. But what I'm saying, these cities are about something. These cities have character one way or another. London's got the same issues as well. Berlin's got the same issues as well. A lot of European cities have the same issues. But the fact is they are there. They have an identity. I don't know what the hell to make of Montreal anymore.
We leave it there. Jim, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
As a man.